What is up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is the first entry of the Paul James Show for season 2026. This is our weekly live show. We preview, we review, we talk about all things football, and I'm keen to get into it with you now. Thank you to everyone who's already in the chat popping off tonight. I'm looking forward to getting into all of the conversation points of conversation tonight, ranging to, well, there's a whole lot of it really. Let's get into a whole lot of those details here. So after an incredible season debut, saw him get an All-Australian blazer, we're going to be talking a lot about Bailey Smith tonight. And can he level up again in season 2026? We're going to focus a little bit on the upcoming State of Origin clash. Of course, Jeremy Cameron's broken arm, and now more recent news of another injury and the impact it's had on him there. There's a lot more that we're going to discuss. We're going to talk about Tanner Bruin and the impact that he's had, James Warple, and a whole lot more. We're going to jump into your Q&A. Of course, I'm bringing back my favourite segment, the game of the show. Scotty, if you're watching already, I saw you put one in the Discord earlier, and I see that it's a tender topic for you, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So looking forward to getting into all of those topics with you tonight. Good to see the chat popping off already. Foxy, I see. Mark, I see. Ben, yeah, whatever, we don't like Ben. Oh, there we go. Yeah, like I said, Scotty's there. He's excited for a bit of Diablo 2 later on. Amy's there. Thank you, saying I look quite smart. Yeah, I'm just wearing my work attire now. I don't know. We'll have to do a Lucas at some point and just pop a button and just show a bit more of the chest, I guess. But who else do we see there? Jake's there. We're seeing Bussy in there. Shadoo's there. Roaming. Kiri, Rob. You're all packing out the chat already. Looking forward to chatting to you over the course of the night. And please, if you want to, I guess, air some of your thoughts on some of these big topics, don't hesitate to use that chat. And it's already quite busy right now. If you want to make sure that your comment is seen, if you want to make sure that it's read, make sure to use that super chat function. It's a big part of this show, and it's a big part of the Hoops Crew. Certainly anyone who uses super chat, even if it's $1, they'll get their comment read guaranteed, but it also does go to help, I guess, bankroll what we do and continue to improve things. And hopefully all of you have noticed since the last entry of the Paul James Show, if you haven't checked out any other Hoops Crew content since the Paul James Show last went to air, you'll hopefully notice this nice new mic. I'm working with a stream deck. The lighting situation continues to improve. All of these things are really down to all of you guys and the support that you throw our way. And we hope that it creates a better product for you, a better quality product for you. And we hope that with that continued support, we can do more and more to give back and hopefully create the best Geelong platform on the planet, full stop. That includes what the Geelong Football Club themselves puts out. But that's pretty ambitious. So let's get into the show tonight. Please, if you haven't already, use that like button, subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube, and share this video as well as all the others with your friends and family. There's a lot of awesome stuff from myself, Ben, and the chaps. And we're hoping that you see it, not just these episodes of the Paul James Show. Scotty says, teacher obviously getting paid too much with all these gadgets you're showing off. To be fair, that's the Hoops Crew community that helped support, bankroll that one. So thank you all for that. It's been awesome. The teacher salary, no, we're going to strike over that shortly. But let's get into some news. We're going to get into our first story for the night, and we are working with new software now. There's a lot more tabs and a lot more things that I've got to have going at the same time. So please bear with me if there's some technical issues. Let's talk about Tom Stewart and his thoughts on Tanner Bruin. He, of course, talks about a range of different facets here, and shout out to archive.md because it's behind the Herald Sun paywall. He talks about that love of Tanner Bruin and some of the dark days and some of the things that he kind of experienced late in the season. Because, of course, it was a pretty rough end of the year for Tom Stewart. Not only did the Cats not win the grand final, but he couldn't participate in it due to a concussion he sustained the week prior. But he talks about that experience. He talks about the impact that Tanner Bruin has had upon returning and how, in a lot of ways, he's basically like a big boom new recruit. So we see in the article here, it talks a little bit about the thud. Let's look for some of those comments specifically from Tom Stewart, where he says, I still have no recollection of what happened in the incident in the game. The build-up and the moments prior are very much vivid in my memory. In the minutes to in the minutes to an hour post-incident, I was conscious and awake, but I have no recollection of those moments, he told Code Sports this week. So it was probably the most difficult incident I've dealt with because my first memory was looking up and seeing my wife and mum down in the medical room under the ground. The initial shock of that was extremely challenging, and then the reality of things and what was ahead in the immediacy was really challenging to deal with. And look, it's a really rough thing. Obviously, there's so much research, there's so much time, there's so much effort going into concussion protocols, concussion research, and it doesn't. I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? At the end of the day, if a player takes a hit, it's awful, and Tom Stewart took a hit, and he took a hit at arguably the worst possible time. Would it have turned around the grand final result? I seriously doubt it. We had far too many passengers on the day, but it's really disappointing for any player. And there's always, I guess, a sad story when it comes to grand finals, usually on both sides of the ledger, but one particularly sad player because they might have missed out on winning one. Tom Stewart happened to be ours last year. He goes on to say, obviously, you have the medical staff in the doctors with David Long and the player welfare manager Mark Worthington taking care of me to make sure when I came to, I recognised what was going on. And once my cognition came back and I was online per se, I was pretty aware of the ramifications. But for myself, my family's response to the incident was probably as challenging, if not more challenging, than my individual circumstances. It's a scary thing. Like, we've seen now the number of ex-players who've been concussed and the battles they've had. And so while, of course, Tom Stewart would have had that thought about the grand final impact, but there's also the prolonged concerns that any player who sustains a concussion has. So Ben says that there in the chat, he's shattered for Tom, but so glad he got one in 2022 and hopefully gets one in 2026. Let's move on to our next topic of discussion for the night, and it is all about tickets going on sale. So this is a very quick topic here, but from Wednesday, the February 11th, so yesterday, Cats fans will get the opportunity to purchase tickets for Geelong's 6 home games during the span of round 1 through 14. Members will have already had access from 10 a.m. on the Wednesday before the general public will get their opportunity from 2 p.m. So you've had the chance to go buy those tickets. Hopefully you've already done so and get on board. The Cats' first 6 home games in the first half of the season commences with a round 1 clash against Fremantle, taking place on Saturday, March 14th, after Geelong return from their opening round match on the Gold Coast. We'll talk more about that game shortly, given that there's a big injury that's probably going to influence that game at least a little bit. Then there's a number of blockbuster games, and we can see the block of 6 games here. Freo in round 1, Adelaide round 3, the Western Bulldogs in round 6, North Melbourne round 8, Sydney round 11, and Gold Coast Suns in round 14. Of course, there are some other home games, but that is all in the to-be-revealed sections of the draft, which is an absolutely ridiculous model. I can't stand it. It sucks. Just give us the entire season. Allow people to book their travel if they're traveling. I think about the Kiris and the many others in the chat that live interstate, don't live in Victoria, and might have plans to come and see some of these games, but you can't even know what day of the week it's going to be. And I think that's a real problem when people have to work. There's finances. You're trying to book flights. You're trying to book accommodation. AFL, sort this shit out. Round 23 is about the only acceptable one as far as I'm concerned. But the fixture is floating from round 16 with ticketing info to be confirmed later in the year. Cats fans, if you're in the comments here, Hoops Crew family, if you're watching here, let me know in the comments whether you'll be making it to, especially some of those early ones, round 1, round 3, round 6 in particular, to get around the Cats nice and early in the season. Next topic of discussion for the night, and it's been about one that's, the media seems to have jumped onto this, and I thought about putting together a dedicated video. In the end, Ben and I discussed it in our summer series video fairly recently. It's all about Chris Scott and the fact that he's been MIA a bit through this off-season. A lot of the responsibilities, as the Dogs try and kick the door down, have been thrown to the likes of Nathan Buckley, James Kelly, and some of the other established coaches at the club. I don't know. I don't know what you all think, but I think there's nothing to see here. And it's different. It's absolutely different. But so is Sam Mitchell using AI to do his coaching for him. And we can see how well that's been going for Hawthorn. So let's not get too carried away here. And I think I'm preaching to the choir. Here for everyone in the chat or watching after the fact. When it comes to this one, that there's not a lot to see when it comes to this particular scenario. Chris Scott has been very active in the last few years, going overseas, getting some education, learning, trying to improve his craft. It's why he's been one of the top coaches in the AFL for so long now, and I really don't see any difference in this particular scenario. So yeah, that's about that one. Paddy Dangerfield said it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. He said we don't really need to see Chris pre-Christmas. To be fair, they haven't seen him a lot since either. But again, I don't think that's much of a problem. And he will be returning. He will be very active because Victoria plays in the State of Origin this Saturday night, where he is the coach. Moving right along to our next story, which is around some of the community camps that have been going on, specifically in Warrnambool here. And I put together a video the other day. It was about George Stevens, where he spoke about where his head was at off the back of his delisting, relisting as a rookie, and more. That video is up on the Hoops Crew YouTube channel. Check it out. That came from an interview done while he was down here in Warrnambool. But the community camp is done and dusted for another year. The Cats spending a couple days connecting with their loyal supporters in Warrnambool in partnership with the AFL Victoria, and Bulla. It's estimated that 3,500 people were able to interact with the Cats throughout the trip, and they visited 32 schools and 190 kids attending a super clinic. A travelling party of over 80 players and staff made the trip down the Great Ocean Road. We can see some photos here, and it looks like a great time. I might even just roll the clip. Muted, of course. We'll roll the clip there and we'll have a bit of a look at some of the goings on. But I mean, Geelong obviously is our focus club here, but a lot of the AFL clubs do a really amazing job of touching base with these communities and going to different hotspots within the state, within the country, and interacting with the communities, interacting with the kids, and really engaging them in the game. I think it's a really important part of allowing those who may not be able to get to a game due to their distance from the MCG or distance from Geelong or distance from whatever a team's home ground is. I think it's a really great way to kind of touch base, interact, and keep that passion for AFL football going. So I love it. I'm also liking that we're seeing Ollie Henry featuring a fair bit here because he's going to have a blinder this year, I hope. I really hope. So they were there from the 3rd to the 4th of Feb. Like I said, there were school visits, super clinics, they had open training sessions, and there was some really good academy training experiences as well. And we've spoken a little bit about academy players recently also. We'll let that video play out before we move on. Danger's continuing to talk a little bit about it, and of course I've muted it so we can't hear him. But like I said, I just think this is a really awesome initiative that all clubs do. We'll say that Geelong does it better than anyone because, of course, they do. They do everything better than everyone. No bias to see here whatsoever. But yeah, you love it. You like moments like this where you're seeing, the kids, they've got their signed jumpers, they're having their moments with the players. It wasn't a community camp thing, and I've spoken about it a little bit in the past, but the opportunity when I took my son to open training, and Reece Stanley, who wasn't able to train properly on the day, walked over, said hi, introduced himself, shook his hand, took photos with him, signed his jumper. Then all the other players did the same at the end. Any opportunity for a kid in particular to touch base with these players, to connect, it means the world to them. That was a huge day when my son and I went to to training, and for dozens upon dozens of other kids and family members to get to do it here was great. So shout out to the Cats for doing an awesome job there. The next one, I'm pretty sure Ben has just put this one in here so we can start making caviar jokes. So I'm gonna get out in front of that now. We're now talking about a new membership category that is available for prospective or even current members who might wish to upgrade. It's the open air boxes. And let's take a look at what this package includes. You've got 10 home games in the open air box at GMHBA. You've got food and beverage package options. You've got VIP waiters, service to the box, access to the Geelong Social Club post-match, car park passes, the 2026 home membership. You've got a 2026 AFL supporter membership, 2 spots in the Guard of Honour for a home and away game, 2 tickets to the 2026 Cargie Greaves Medal Best and Fairest event, and personal or business signage on an open air box. It can cost you $290 a month or $2,900 for the year. They do net out to the same because you'll notice that it's a 10-month plan, so you are paying the same amount. There is no discount for going yearly. It's just the payment model there, paid out over the course of 10 months. But, I mean, for those who've got that sort of money, and we'll make our caviar jokes, but I absolutely do not have that sort of money. I think it's really cool. There's a lot you get to it. Like, getting your 2 tickets to Kaji is great. Being a part of the Guard of Honor would be awesome. Like, there's some really cool aspects to this. And maybe one day it's the sort of thing where I'll be like, for 1 year, I'll throw that money at it for some of these experiential things. Like, maybe I take it and then use the opportunity to bring my son to Kaji, to walk out there and be a part of the Guard of Honor. That would be really cool. It's a lot of money. I might have gotten a payout from jumping ship from the public education system recently, but I certainly don't have nearly $3,000 to just splash around. But maybe one day. Shadoo's giving it to me in the chat here with wine, baguettes, grapes, and cheese. Thanks. Benny says he's winning Powerball tonight. Time for a Hoops Crew outdoor box. Our next one here, learning from the master, and talks about Ollie Dempsey. Now, I think we've discussed a little bit about this in the past. It's been long established there's a relationship, a pretty strong one, between Ollie Dempsey and the legendary Gary Ablett Jr. And certainly a lot of it kind of began, and I think the article goes on to talk about it, a lot of it began through their interactions in the church system. And obviously, probably networked a little bit because Ollie was drafted as a cat as well. But they've got this, and as it highlights here, the pair forming a strong bond over footy, faith, and family. There's quite a few things that are really important to both of them. They share this relationship. They share these common interests. And I mean, there's not many better players to pick the brain of and try and learn from. Ollie Dempsey has managed to score one of the most legendary players of all time. It's been working pretty well for him so far. One quote from the article says that they don't talk, and this is Ollie speaking, he says, "I don't talk to him often about footy, but when I do, he has a wealth of knowledge." You can see streaks of Gary Ablett in the way he plays. He's got the natural skill set. He's got the awareness, but you see some of the moves, the way he kind of pivots hard on a hip from time to time in the way that Gary would use that and really pivot and turn. Ollie does the same from time to time, and then he's got the wheels. He just runs and runs and runs. It's quite incredible. I love seeing these two continuing to interact, and that in the future that hopefully Ollie Dempsey can then be a similar influence on future young cats, and this can be a cycle that continues on for through the Geelong Football Club for many, many years to come. I like the idea that people keep returning and they keep giving and they keep sharing and they keep connecting with similarly minded up-and-coming players to help them find their way through the system, because it is a very difficult system to navigate. Again, we spoke about George Stevens in a video the other day, and please, if you haven't already, go check it out on the YouTube channel. Brilliant player, wonderful player, but is finding it really, really hard to make his way through to that senior 23. He got his opportunity, got robbed of a rising star, justice for George, as we all say. But it's hard to retain a spot, and he got delisted and then re-rookied. Like it's a really, really, really difficult spot to be in. So that is a little conversation there about Gary Ablett Jr. and his strong networking with Ollie Dempsey. Now we're going to move on to, and this is where the chat, I'm really looking for you to get involved here. Ben has a poll up and running in the YouTube feed at the moment. It says, will Bailey Smith go to another level in 2026? Currently, 82% of you are saying yes. I would love for a lot of you to expand upon those thoughts. As we go through the article here, I would love for you to expand on those thoughts a little bit and talk, and of course, roaming justice for George as well. Justice for Jed as well. I'd love for some of you to expand upon how you think that Bailey is going to go up another gear this year, because I've already had my say. I put my season preview video together for him a couple of weeks ago at this point. So please, I'd love for you to bring some of your thoughts into the mix here. Talk a little bit about Bailey Smith and how you think he's going to continue to grow and develop. That's ticked up to 83%, so thank you to other people who voted as well. So let's jump across to the article here. And of course, because the media system is completely trash, we've got this article here that's talking about Bailey Smith going over the limit, but for some reason, the video that's pinned is talking about the Neils. Fuck off, Lockie and Jules Neal. We don't care. All right, moving on to the actual article itself, to the actual news item here. AFL star Bailey Smith is set to. He has lost his driver's license after being caught speeding well over the limit last month. The Herald Sun reported that the Geelong Cat star was driving at 125 kilometres per hour near his home on Victoria's surf coast during the state's recent bushfires. It's reported Smith was concerned about his 5.8 hectare home and the animals on the property at Belbray when he was caught speeding in January. The speeding offence has taken Smith over his demerit points allocation, and he is set to lose his licence for 3 months. It's the latest controversy for Smith, who's rarely been out of the headlines since he switched teams from the Western Bulldogs to Geelong. It's a tricky one here, because I do sympathise with him. It was only 2 weeks ago, and I haven't spoken about it on content. It was the night before I was due to start my new job. My daughter was displaying a whole range of gastro symptoms through the day, but then by nighttime it was the usual stuff. It was vomit. She was pooping a lot, but then we started getting blood in amongst all of that as well. And the panic goes up. There's things, and for Bailey, it's protecting his property, protecting the animals that live there. For me, and my wife, I'm pretty sure she thankfully didn't get a ticket, but I'm pretty sure she hurtled down the freeway well over the limit. Certainly, that's the impression she gave me while I stayed at home to look after my son. It's a natural sort of thing, right? The problem that Bailey's got is that he'd also rung up a whole bunch of demerit points beforehand. So he's already got a history of speeding and other driving offences. And so they probably couldn't give him the slap on the wrist or the sympathy card here, because he's proven to maybe not be the most responsible of drivers anyway. But that's kind of the story around it. He effectively forced Geelong to cancel Mad Monday events going forward after he posted an inappropriate photo. They're just going through the laundry list of things here. We did see him play in the one-shot Australian Open, the one-point slam, which was entertaining, and he didn't do a very good job of it. Tennis is clearly not his sport. Of course, look at this trash. People are following him and prospective partners around. Just leave him alone. This is gutter journalism. So let's kind of hone in on the football side of things. Chat, as I said, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about what would allow Bailey Smith to take his game up a few more gears this year. I'll take a bit of a look. I can't pin comments yet. We are working on some platform side things that we can do to pin comments, but now that we're not using StreamYard, we don't have that functionality going just yet. And Ben's got a solution. I just haven't had a chance to implement it yet. So what have we got here? Roaming says that Bailey will not get better. He'll stay the same, but will win the Brownlow. Flash Movies Trivia says, I love Jules. So glad she's out of there. I mean, I'm happy for her, but also that she's gotten out of a really shitty situation. But we don't care. Scotty's saying smash the motherfucking like button. I like that, Scotty. Thanks, mate. Roaming says up the speed limit for animals. Scotty says 25 kilometres over the speed limit is suspension for 3 months. Shadu says, wasn't the fire 100 kilometres away? I don't know. I don't think so. Roaming says, give the police officer a farm. You're not helping the narrative here. We've got a Carlton supporter in our midst. Don't feed the fire, for want of a better phrase there, Roaming. Flash Movie Trivia says he did the responsible thing and got out of the fire zone. Shadu, I think, nails it. Improve the disposal efficiency. I think, Bailey's disposal efficiency is probably one of his biggest weaknesses. He accumulates the ball well. He's very attacking. He does lots and lots of things extremely well, but if he can lift that disposal efficiency, his game will improve considerably. And I am going to take a quick look, just while we're chatting here, about exactly where he ranks. Efficiency, midfielders, AFL. I think Wheeler Ratings had it. No. Yes, Wheeler Ratings I think does have it. And I'll sort by, not all key stats, I just want disposal efficiency. General disposal efficiency. And when you've got, and I'll filter this to midfielders. Filters, give me midfield. That's not what I want. Filter position, midfield. Let's have a bit of a look here. When we filter, and I'll bring this across so we can have a bit of a look as we go, so we can talk about the important things and not the speeding fines. This is the disposal efficiency from season 2025. Obviously, you can see the number of games played does influence things a little bit and skews the results a little bit. But disposal efficiency, we're looking for some of the best, the current elite players in the comp, like George Stevens here at 78.6%. There's none of the apps. I mean, you can see Callum Ward, but obviously he retired through the year. There's none of our absolute top flight midfielders, the competition here, that are tracking with disposal efficiency above 77%. Jake Lloyd, but I think it's a bit of a stretch to call him a midfielder. There's probably our best midfielder in the game as far as I'm concerned. Marcus Bontempelli at 76%. Scotty Pendlebury, 75.3. Josh Kelly, 74.2. Andrew Brayshaw, 74.7. Jack Steele. Let's keep looking to see just how far off the pace, if at all, significantly off the pace, Bailey Smith is. We're now trending towards the 70s here. We're still in the 70s, but we are trending downwards. There's Sam Walsh, Scotty. Let's talk a little bit about that at some point because there's been some interesting news in the Sam Walsh discussion so far today. We've just ticked into the 69s mark. Nice. Ollie Dempsey, Max Holmes. See, we are starting to scroll down, and I think this is really starting to emphasize the point. In fact, there he is. Out of the 157 players that we've got recorded here, Bailey Smith is in the bottom 20 for disposal efficiency. And so to Shadoo's point, and I think I discussed this in the player preview, that's the big area for improvement. You can see his handball efficiency 77, but his kicking disposal efficiency 55.9, and that is the big flaw in his game, and the thing that if he wants to go another few levels, and if he wants to really stamp his authority upon this competition, that is the stat that he needs to work on, that he needs to improve in. Mitch Nevitt's above him. To be fair, small sample size Shadoo. Let's not lose sight of that. I love Mitch Nevitt. Let's not forget that either. But yeah, Scotty's just gone level with Blake Acres. Interesting though that Jordan Dawson is so low. Chad Warner. You can see that there are excellent midfielders in this game. Game-changing midfielders. Jordan Dawson nearly pinching the Brownlow medal last year as well. Chad Warner the same. That don't have the greatest disposal in the world. Both of these two, 54.6 and 53. You can get by and be phenomenal with these lower numbers. But it's not really where you want to be. And I think all of those guys would be looking to improve that particular part of their game as well. And if we go back to someone like Bont, he's operating at 66.9, so it's not a huge lift. But he's also doing more when it comes to his handball ratio as well. It's just cleaner disposal is what we've got to look for here. Ben's jumped on it. Yeah, Paul loves Nevitt. I do love Mitch Nevitt. I didn't notice that. Mitch Nevitt's, James Warple's below him. 45%. What have we done? What have we done? Jai Clark, 58.9 is solid enough, but his handball efficiency is pretty rubbish, and that should be one of the ones that's skewed a bit higher. But anyway, we'll leave that at the conversation there for now and continue to move on through our topics of discussion for the night. But that is the Bailey Smith one. Please, if you do have any other thoughts on what he needs to do with his game to improve it, I'd like to see those thoughts in the comments section below. Let's talk about Jeremy Cameron. Because, of course, the conversation was, starting to bubble up that he may not be able to play in the State of Origin due to the broken arm and the recovery time from it, and it wasn't necessarily recovering at the rate that was required, and that he might even be in a little bit of danger for round one because of it. Now, don't worry about it. It's not a factor, because we've unfortunately got another injury concern here for him, and it doesn't relate to his arm or the top half of his body whatsoever, because Geelong superstar Jeremy Cameron is racing the clock to be fit for the opening round trip to the Gold Coast due to a quad strain. The reigning common medalist is understood to have suffered the injury at training on Monday after being ruled out of the return of the AAMI AFL Origin over the weekend. Cameron has been recovering from a badly broken arm he sustained just before half-time in last year's grand final loss to Brisbane. The 32-year-old was pushing to play for Victoria after being picked in December, but ran out of time to prove his fitness. Cameron hasn't started full contact training just yet and will be sidelined for at least a couple of weeks after scans revealed a quad strain earlier this week. Geelong has yet to rule him out of the trip to face the Suns on March 6th and hope Cameron will be available for some minutes against Carlton in the AAMI Community Series. fingers crossed. Playing Gold Coast round 0. They're going to be still up and about from last year is a very difficult exercise. So just got to cross my fingers and hope. Just got to cross my fingers and hope that Jeremy Cameron is good to go. Cameron booted a career-high 88 goals in 2025 to win his second Coleman medal, and I'm kind of in the mind that if he can go for another 4 years, maybe even 5, that he'll hit the 1,000. Something that I think most said after Buddy wouldn't be done again. Jeremy Cameron's going to be within reach. Whether he gets there or not, I don't know, but he's going to be within reach. We're just talking a little bit more about Jezza now, but the former Greater Western Sydney key forward was named All-Australian captain for the first time after earning his 5th blazer. Cameron played all 26 games last year after 24 in 2024, 20 in 2023, and 24 in the premiership year of 2022, and is now 20 off 300 games in the AFL. He will hit that this year, most likely. Geelong will play Hawthorn in match simulation at the Kennedy Community Centre next Monday afternoon, ahead of the practice match at Icon Park on February 25. Flash says, if Jez is out, I'd play Mitch Nevitt at full forward. I agree. Next, we can take a bit of a look at the AFL State of Origin match that's coming this weekend in WA. If Lucas is here, he's going to be quite upset that it's not in South Australia. You'll get your turn. But also, Ben set up a poll there in the chat. He says, the question was, will Jezza be fit for round 1? 50% of you are saying no, he'll miss a few games. 22% have said yes. 21% have said no, maybe round 1 instead. And 7% have said no, he's out for half the year. That is ambitious, that one. 7% saying half the year. That's wild. All right, so this is the first time in 25 years that we're getting a proper State of Origin game. Of course, we've had some commemorative sort of events in the past, but this is the real deal. It's going to be at Perth Stadium, Saturday 14th, so that's Valentine's Day at 7:40 p.m. on Australian Eastern Standard Time. I don't know why we're going for Valentine's Day. Don't interrupt families. I would have done a post-game live, but I'm going to be doing something else. I'm going to be out and about. The ticketing situation. It's exhausted. You can't get any anymore. So, I don't know. Good luck. Beg, borrow, and steal. But don't steal. I'm not encouraging that. So I talk about kind of similar-ish things in the past. This follows on from the Indigenous All-Stars game of 2025. And there was... Rob's just jumped in with a super chat. We'll just pause the show for that one. He says he's going to be annoyed if Clary gets back to his best. Clayton Oliver is a pretty damn good player when he's in full flight. And if he does get somewhere back to his best, good luck playing against GWS, everyone. Kiri says it's a disgrace not playing in South Australia too. You'll get your turn, mate. You've already got gather round. Stop being greedy. You've got enough. But thank you, Rob. We love your support. The full lineups, they're out. There's potential late outs. I don't know. Jeremy Cameron's already out. We're probably not going to drop any more. But it is Chris Scott helming the Victorian team, so there's always the possibility of a late out. The history between Victoria and the WA teams, the first game between the two was played in 1977, and throughout the 1970s and 80s, matches were treated as benchmark interstate contests. WA harboured long-standing resentment over Victorian dominance of the national game, and in the early 1990s, the national expansion of the competition began to erode the importance of state of origin footy. I guess the question for the chat tonight is, is there a future for State of Origin football beyond this? Does this make it an annual thing going forward? And I do think my personal stance is, I think this will be an annual thing going forward. And don't worry, Kiri, you will get your opportunity. I'd imagine it's probably next year. I would love for there to be a scenario, and I am Victorian, and there's Victorian bias, and there's all those sorts of things, but I would love to see scenarios where there's always a team being phased out. Now, maybe to really launch this thing the way you need to, WA and Victoria this year, WA gets phased out. Next year, it's South Australia and Victoria. Then Victoria gets phased out. You get WA in South Australia. And we kind of have this thing where every player, every 5 years or so, should get a crack at least once. That way it rolls up to maybe the Allies. We bundle New South and Queensland together there, and we can when Tassie really kicks off, we can start to look at those options as well. I think there's a lot of potential here, and we can kind of roll teams in and out and phase them in and out. And I think it can be cool as long as it's treated like an exhibition game. I don't really like an NBA All-Star game. I don't really want it to ever get to the magnitude of the NRL State of Origin, because I just don't want injuries. I don't want injuries to players. And I don't think there's... look, maybe we'll get there one day. Maybe this really continues to build, but I think it just needs some time. We'll see how it continues to develop. We'll see how the buy-in is. Obviously, the sellout already is huge. That's a great start. Ben's put a little prompt here in my notes for me saying, should South Australia host a match in 2027? Going back to what I said before, absolutely. And I think Victoria should be a part of it. And then Victoria gets phased out the next year. And we have both South Australia and WA. And then we start to shift it to get other teams involved as well. Why I've got this projected here is the question I want to ask everyone right now is, would you spend $129.99 on a Big V or the West Australian jersey? Would you be willing to spend that much? The woolen long sleeve is $249.99. It's absolutely wild, some of that pricing. At $129.99, it's not outrageous relative to other, to normal club jerseys you can get. It's still a fair bit of money. Would you ever consider picking one up? Anthony in the chat says probably not. Roaming, not too much. Shadu says it's too much. Shadu also says SA has gather round. Where is Kiri? Where is Lucas losing their minds over us depriving the South Australians of more football? But yeah, my stance is, Roaming said it as if on cue. If you can only buy one footy jersey this year, make it a Geelong one. But anyway. And our next story here, I don't have an article to pin, so you're going to get my mug full screen. Let's talk a little bit about, and we obviously referenced it a little bit earlier when it came to the Tom Stewart story, but Tanner Bruhn and James Worpel as new recruits in a lot of ways for season 2026. Tanner Bruhn has been viewed internally as like a new recruit for this year, and I spoke a little bit about that when I put together my preview for him. That he is like a big boom recruit, and he didn't have an injury, so he's been able to spend. And I'm sure it was a very emotionally taxing time for him, but he's been able to spend the last 18 months just working on his body, getting big, getting strong. He's 23 years old, so he's about at that stage of his career where he should really explode into his prime. Any little niggling things that he was carrying for those last couple of seasons through 23 and 24, he's had ample time now to let them all recover, get everything back to 100%, and then launch. So I think the Tanner Bruhn thing is a huge addition, let alone the fact that we've obviously added James Worpel as well. Jack Bowes recently reported that Bruhn has been a standout on the track. And prior to his absence, Bruhn had been leading the Cats for clearances per game. Now, that's obviously changed a bit with the explosion of Max Holmes and the addition of Bailey Smith and what Tom Atkins achieved last year. But it's a huge asset to bring into the team. James Worpel, on the other hand, he joined Geelong as a free agent for 2026 after departing the filthy Hawks. Worpel is a contested ball beast in the mould of Tom Atkins, but there's a video going up imminently about... No, hang on, let me double check. I've been putting all these things in there, and Ben's been scheduling them. I think my video about... what do we got here? James Worpel is already live, so go check out the YouTube channel for my season preview on James Worpel. I think it's a really tricky spot that he's in because someone established like Tom Atkins already exists. Tanner Bruhn does return, and I think a lot of these other midfielders, your Bailey Smiths and your Max Holmeses and co, are really going to continue to build out their defensive aspects of the game. It's going to make it a tight squeeze for positions. It's a great problem to have, but it makes it a little bit tricky. And I guess when we talk about midfielders and the situation there, I I think about Gary frequently in the comments. I don't know if I've seen Gary in the comments so far tonight. I have. Gary's been in there recently talking about the state of origin. Gary was regularly talking last year when we were speculating about potential midfielders that might join the Cats. He was regularly saying, do we need another one? With the likes of George Stevens and Jai Clark and the others that are also there in the wings. Now we've gone and added Harley Barker. Now we've gone and added Hunter Holmes. Do we need, and obviously with the prospect of Tanner Bruin coming back, do we need James Warple? And it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. If he can get to his very best football, then I think he'll absolutely deserve a spot. And it'll be interesting to see who comes at the, who loses their spot to bring him in. But he's going to have to be playing in his best football, because I think anything other than that, we looked at that disposal efficiency before, right? That's going to hurt. And there's other players that have been performing the defensive tackling game better, like your Tom Atkinses of the world. So it's a very tricky spot that he's in. From there, an opportunity was identified, I guess, for him to join the Cats, though, as a strong contested ball winner and complementing the likes of Max Holmes, Bailey Smith and Ollie Dempsey. Assistant coach Nathan Buckley's arrival also adds some tactical insight and mentoring for the Cats this year. And I'd be keen to hear what you've all got to say, talking about midfields and those sort of things. What you've got to say about Paddy Dangerfield and how we use him this year. I was very bullish that I felt he needed to be the Joel Selwood of 2022 and come off the bench and go into the midfield whenever he comes on, go straight to the midfield, bash and crash, play his best game, and then go and rest again. But I'm hearing rumblings, I think from the horse's mouth, if I recall, that he might be more focused on forward minutes, which I have a problem with. I just don't think he's playing the forward line role very well. Shout out to Joel Falconer in the chat there, who I've only just recently seen popping up in the chat recently. Sorry if you've been there for longer and I missed you. Also, Anthony Nguyen, great to have you guys in the chat. Also, welcome aboard if it's the first time you're checking out our content. If I'm just a bit rusty and I'm forgetting a few names, I apologise for that too. But great to have you there contributing in the chat. Look forward to talking. Oh, there we go. Joel says it's his first time. Like I said, welcome aboard, mate, and hope to see you here more going forward. There's lots of awesome stuff. And this show will be going live every single week. So that is all of the big footy topics of the week. We've got two segments left to go through here. The first one is my little self-indulgent topic. As anyone, and I guess for the likes of Joel and co who are new, you may not be aware, but maybe the background tells you a little bit about me, is that beyond just really loving footy and liking to sit down and try and analyse it and having these awesome conversations with so many of you in the chat, I'm also kind of in love with video games. And we do have, I'll talk about it quickly now, we do have a game night coming up immediately after this stream. We are not changing feeds, so when the Paul James show finishes for the night, keep the feed running, because only a few minutes later, there'll be a little splash screen, there'll be a few minutes later, and we'll be jumping into our second night of The Last of Us Part 1, where we're going to continue that in full, and I look forward to chatting to all of you through that one. Kerry's been popping in recently. Luke has been popping in. There's been many of you popping in and just kind of tuning into my video game side of things and also talking a bit of footy along the way. So stay tuned for that one. But before we get to that, and before we get to your questions, your answers, and your super chats, we're going to jump into our game of the show for today. Bussy, I've already done the Turtles. You got to go back and check out the feed, mate. We've already done the Turtles. First time feature says, let's talk about maths. We're not talking about Married at First Sight. Fuck that noise. So keep pumping those comments in there. I'm also going to be jumping to our Discord shortly, but we are going to jump across to our game of the show for tonight, which is all about Diablo 2, because that very old video game that got a pretty impressive remake in recent years is all of a sudden getting a big new expansion. Let's check it out.
How can knowledge be evil if it saves a soul? Should a king tell us how to fight? The church, they uphold the light while we die in the shadows. I denounce the light. I now seek power in the primal, salvation in unholy scripture.
I am a heretic. I break the bones of the damned, build altars of blood to call the darkness.
I have walked amongst demons, found strength in shadow, kinship and madness. Damn the light. I will suffer my own path. I will learn the foul ways of a forbidden tongue. To bind them as a tool of my vengeance. Brand us traitor, outlaw, warlock.
Let them hang us for what we've done.
But when darkness comes for us, it will see hell screaming back.
So that was Diablo 2 Reign of the Warlock expansion. That is a 20-plus-year-old game that is all of a sudden getting itself a big new piece of expandable content. Bussy, also shout out for the super chat there. I don't know if any others popped through. I couldn't see the chat while we were doing that. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome news. But we won't talk much more about it because there's lots more time to talk video games later when we get into game night shortly. So let's get into now some of your comments. And I first want to highlight some that were in the Discord. And I'm gonna project the Discord here for anyone who's not familiar with our Discord. Please make sure to get over there, join our Discord. I'm sure someone will pop the link in the Discord shortly. In fact, Shadoo's already been doing it, so please consider jumping into the Discord there. But here it is on screen, and I want, we had Ben put a post up there looking for some of your questions and answers. Shadoo says, Jez is injured, what do we do? Of course, we've spoken a little bit about that. Jake asked an awesome one. He said, if you could take the AFL back to 16 teams, which two clubs would you delete to make it happen? Which two clubs would you delete to make it happen? First one, and I'm not bringing rational aspects to this conversation. I'm bringing a very irrational one, at least initially. Fuck the Hawks. Get rid of him. So Hawthorn, done. Cut. Don't want to see that shit ever again. Bussy, I don't watch Married at First Sight. I've got nothing to offer you there. But yeah, Hawthorn, cut him. Gone. Don't want to see him ever again. Blow them up. Blast that football club off to the moon. The other team, I just think for the growth of the AFL, not for this one, not for any kind of bias or irrational reasons. North Melbourne is the other team for me. They're dead weight, unfortunately. I do like North Melbourne, but they are dead weight. And it thins out the number of clubs in Victoria as well. If you paired that with my desire to see Hawthorn gone, cut them, blow them up. Two fewer teams in Victoria. More room for growth if you want to continue to expand the competition. More of Victoria that each of the different clubs can kind of share, for want of a better phrase. I'm sorry, Bussy. I'm sorry I don't watch Married at First Sight. Maybe I should be the one apologising. And you can see a few of the sentiments here in the Discord as well that kind of, I guess, build upon that. What other topics of conversation have we got here? Ben popped a question in saying, should AFL move north to Darwin and call them the Northern Roos? No, let's just blow up North Melbourne. Darwin, roo. Good one, Kiri. I'm hoping I didn't miss any along the way there. I think we're now starting to slip closer. Oh, yeah, that's right. Pivotonian tweeted at us, saying, after the comprehensive review of our draft picks, of which I've watched, what is your top two picks to make debuts in 2026 and why? Now, there's two ways that I could interpret Pivotonian's question here, and I'm sure Scotty's really lighting up with when I start talking about our mate Pivotonian here. So there's two lenses. There's one, like, if we're talking about those who we drafted this year, who would they be? If we're talking about just who are the two players that are going to debut this year, I think one of them is, and I need to fix that up, one of them will be Mitch Edwards. He'll get his opportunity this year. And if there's going to be one from our recent pool of draftees, I think it'll be Hunter Holmes, because I just don't think Harley Barker is going to be right to go. He's going to need time to get his body right. He'll play through the VFL, but I don't think he'll do enough in that time to elevate to AFL level. But I would love to be wrong. And then Ben's telling people to drop their turtles emojis. So please, if you aren't already a member of our Discord channel, join the Discord. Check out all the cool stuff we're doing. There's lots of great stuff, and I hope that you enjoy it. Now, let's get back to some of your questions that have been popping up in the YouTube feed. I'm going to blow this up full screen so I can see it a bit better. There was a question from, I think, Joel Falconer before, and I've just got to find it. Also, shout out to Nav from London, who is a name that I don't think I recognise, but thankful to have you on board as well. Nav from Falcon asks, do you think Mitch Nevitt and George Stevens deserve more of a chance? They surely need to be given more game time. Yes to both. It's pretty well documented that I'm a big fan of Mitch Nevitt and George Stevens as well. So I'm firmly of the mind that they need to get more opportunities. I think they are absolutely phenomenal footballers, and I hope that they get the opportunities nice and soon. Scrolling through that chat, and please, if you want to make sure your question gets asked, use that super chat function, because it is a lot easier. It is a lot easier to find a super chat than it is questions in a field of others. Because there's a lot of you, and thank you to all of you for like the amount of activity tonight on our first night for the year has been huge. Thank you everyone for sharing those thoughts so far. Where are we? Sorry, I'm sure Joel Falconer asked a question earlier on, and I was going to talk about it, and I can't for the life of me find it. Quickly scrolling back through. We might have to move to some more recent stuff. Joel, if you got, he asked, who are our top five? There we go, found it. Who are our our five most important players in order? Our top five players in order of importance. Yeah, he said importance. Our top five most important players in order. Number one for me is Jeremy Cameron. He's so important structurally. He's so important for the development of Shannon Neal. Shannon Neal needs to be able to take the second best defender. If he has the first, I just don't know developmentally is where he needs to be just yet to be able to really explode. I think he's going to be brilliant. Lucas, if you tune in and start, and you heard me talking about Shannon Neal, and all of a sudden, boom, there he is. He needs to still take on that second top dog. And so my hope is that he gets that opportunity, because Jeremy Cameron is there. So Jeremy Cameron, number one. Number two is Mark Blitzarves. It's just that versatility and flexibility. He'll play any role and he'll do a great job of it. Number 3 is Max Holmes because of the way he breaks the game open. Number 4 is Tom Stewart because of what he brings structurally to that defense and through leadership. He does a phenomenal job. He is also quite versatile. And number 5 is Tommy Atkins because he's always going to be head down, bum up in the bottom of contest. He will continue to attack. He will continue to defend. He will continue to set the tone for everyone else on the field. And so for me, they are the top 5 most important cats. What else have we got here? As I scroll, Brendan's popped in with a turtle emoji. I'm catching up on the chat, but Brendan's popped in with a turtle emoji. So thank you, Brendan, for popping in. We're not talking about your mate that we delisted 2 years ago. Brendan says George deserves the captaincy. George deserves everything in the world. He's a phenomenal footballer. I just wish we gave him more time. Shadu asks, question. Dropping a Q at the beginning of every single question, that makes it a lot easier to track him. Go with those. Go with the super chat. Those are the ones I'll be looking for. If you've got a Q at the front or if you've got a super chat, you'll get. I'll be able to spot your question much easier. So Shadu asks, question, who needs to have a breakout year this year and who is likely to? 2 very separate questions, and I like that. So who needs to have a breakout year this year? Well, I mean, needing to, and breakout specifically also, it's not just who needs to have a good season, who needs to have a breakout. Well, I think obviously we've just spoken about a couple of them in George Stevens is one. I think Tanner Bruin needs to. Obviously, the Cats were very patient through a very difficult circumstance for him. But I think he needs to have a breakout to really, I guess, prove that the investment in bringing him across was worth it. He's been a very good footballer for us so far, but I think he can be so much more, and I think we really want to see him hit that ceiling, especially as we continue to explore options with other external recruits. Someone like a Tanner Bruin, if he doesn't really take off, could very quickly find himself in a tradable situation going forward. So I hope that this season he really blows up. Toby Conway, of course, needs to have a big season. Even if that's in the VFL, but he just plays a lot of football and gets himself right. I think that's hugely important. We spoke about Mitch Nevitt, needs to have a big season. Who else? Jai Clark needs to have a really big season. George Stevens, we've already spoken about. Who else? If he wants to keep his spot on the list, I think Ollie Wiltshire needs to have a really big season. Lennox Hoffman in the same situation. I think Jed Buse needs to have a big season if he wants to remain on the list. I firmly, justice for Jed, roaming, I'm sure you're there still. I think Jed is so important to the team, but for some reason we just don't keep picking him. So he needs to have a blinder this year to really get himself in and stay in. Warple will need to have a big one. Geez, I'm rattling off a lot of names here, but we're getting towards the end of the list. Ollie Henry is obviously one of the most notable ones there. I really he needs to have a big year. And beyond, and actually, I'm going to put Brad Close. Brad Close, I love Brad Close. I think Gary, I saw you kind of, I think we differ a little bit on Gary on Brad Close. I think he's a really valuable asset, but I think his impact has diminished a little bit in the last probably 12 months or so, and I think we need to see him go really push ahead in his development and his output. And if he doesn't continue to grow, I think this could be a challenging year for him because there's a lot of players breathing down his neck and a lot of midfielders who could play forward who could take that spot. So I think we need a big year from Brad Close. I'm not I firmly am in the mind, Gary. I can already see the hooray in there from you. I think he deserves the starting 23 spot, but I think he needs to take his game up another notch if he wants to hold on to it, because I think the depth is really building behind him, and he could get jumped in that queue if he's not careful. As for the other half of Shadu's question being, who is likely to have a big breakout season. Certainly some of those guys I think will. I didn't mention along the way Mitch Edwards, because I don't think he needs to have a breakout season yet. He's still super young. He's a ruckman. We all know they take time, but I think he will have a breakout season this year. I think this, like with all the talk coming out of the club about how his pre-season's going, and I guess kind of the needs of the Cats to have him or Toby Conway develop, I think this could be a really big year for Mitch Edwards. And we're not talking, top flight ruckman numbers, but I think it's going to be a really big year for him. So yeah, there's my thoughts there. Flash asks, who will make their first debut for the Cats in 2026? I think it'll be Mitch Edwards. Gary agrees with my top 5. Thank you, Gary. Brendan says this is the show that made Mitch Hardy famous, so famous that we delisted him. Actually, Gary's rightly, I think, added Sam de Koning for breakout years. Yeah, I agree. Sam de Koning probably needs to step up another notch or two. Brendan also says Bianca is wearing number 41 this year. She says it's because of Georgie Prespakis, but we all know the truth. It's for Mitch Hardy. It could be for Killian Burke, but it's Georgie. She's a rock star. Georgie Prespakis is an absolute champion. Foxy asks, how do we go this year? What position do we think we head first? I need to check how long the stream's been going before we. We've gone about the hour, so we'll be flipping into game night mode shortly. But we'll take on a few more questions. How do we go this year, and what position do you think we'll go head and heart? My predictions: head top 4, heart first. My heart says first, and my head says top 4. Actually, yes, I think we're pretty similar. And so when I put together my tips for the last summer series video, I had the Cats finishing first and only losing one game. And I think a little bit of heart got carried away there. Not because we can't win 22 out of 23 games, but Geelong will drop a few. For one reason or another, we'll drop a few. So we should win 22 out of 23. But we'll drop a few. And that's why we'll end up top 4 and not just guaranteed first as far as I'm concerned. Bussy says that Brad Close hasn't been the same since he had more small forward competition. Agreed. And also, again, I think he was another one that probably suffered a little bit with danger in there. What else have we got here in case I've missed some questions? That was Foxy's question. Jakey says that Wiltshire needs 25 to 30 VFL goals and raise the tackle count. I think that's a pretty good starting point. Gary says, I really believe that the club needs SDK to step up. Agreed. Brendan says, Reece Stanley have a breakout season. Anthony Newen says, SDK has been down since the flaggy. Hope he can rediscover the form. I just wish he'd stop being a little brat from time to time when things don't go his way. And I know that's very harsh. And Sam de Koning, if you watched, by some chance saw this. Brat is a very harsh word that I use there, and probably getting a little bit carried away, to be honest. But the carry on when things don't go your way is too much. So let's rein it in. Let's be that mature player. Mature not just in terms of your physique, but your attitude. Flash asks, and we'll make it the final question of the night, but of course, if there's more, bring them with you into game night mode shortly. It'll only be a few minute transition between shows, and it will be this same feed. So please, if you want to keep the conversation going, stick around for a couple minutes when we jump to the splash screen shortly. Oh, okay. Foxy got in just as I said it. We'll take Flashes and Foxy's, and any other questions, we'll wait until game night. Flash says, with more midfield depth, what percentage of games do you expect we win the centre clearance battle? Tanner really helps, as was discussed earlier. What percentage of games we've never been great at winning the centre clearance, right? But we did really improve that, and we started losing more of the stoppage clearances. It was always kind of reversed before. We'd kind of win the stoppage clearance, but lose the centre clearance. And then through last year, it started to shift the other way. I'd like to see that, 70% of the time we win the centre clearance. And that then we are at least competing, if not winning more often than not in the stoppage clearances as well. But of course, what that looks like now with the change to the boundary line rules and all that is also really interesting as well. Foxy asks, like I said, it's the last question before we jump into game night. He asks a question, does Toby Conway get on the field this year? at this point, with all that's gone on, my gut feel is no. And that's really disappointing because I think this is a brilliant potential ruckman. But history says something's going to go wrong. And I hope that he can buck the trends and laugh in the face of history, but it's not going well for him. Flash also asks, is Toby even training? I'm not even 100% sure on that at the moment. Ben, if you're still bouncing around in the chat there, Ben had been at training. I can't remember what he saw of Toby Conway. I think I misrepresented Ben when I did my preview videos. I don't actually know. To be honest, I don't actually know at the moment. So, sorry about that one. All right. It is time to bring this one home for the night. Thank you all for having tuned into the very first entry of the Paul James Show for 2026. I'm very happy to be back at it, and of course we'll be doing this weekly. I'm taking a week off in a couple of weeks because I'm taking the wife and the kids to Ed Sheeran on the Thursday night, but maybe we'll just have to shuffle the night, the schedule around that week to make sure that we still get the show going. Of course, next week we'll get to talk a little bit about the State of Origin game and a whole lot more in the world of AFL football. Please make sure to hang around. Again, video games may not be your thing, but we are going to continue to talk football afterwards. So please stick around in this stream. Go get a drink, go to the toilet, come back. Join me for our second entry of The Last of Us, part 1, but part 2 of that stream. If you enjoy this, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Hoops Crew on YouTube. There's lots of awesome stuff from myself, Ben, and the chaps. The chaps are up and running for the year. Ben, I don't even know what he does, and there's plenty of videos from me as well. So go check all of it out. And if you like that, consider checking out our Patreon as well. That is patreon.com/thehoopscrew, where there's early access, extended, and exclusive content right there and ready for you to enjoy. You can also become a member on our YouTube feed as well, and that helps you get access to the early access videos as well. This week on the Hoops Crew, you will continue to get my season previews for players. On Sunday, I'll put together a review video of the State of Origin game. We'll hone in, of course, a little bit more on our Cats players, but we'll need to pay close attention to some of the output of the opposition teams as well. On Monday, the chaps will be back at it, and what has been awesome this year, in case you haven't already caught the Chaps Chat Cats this year, they are live now. Just like the Paul James Show, that is a live show. So please make sure you are checking out the chaps, not just on podcast feeds. Please check out the podcast feed as well. But make sure you're watching along live on Mondays, where they will also fold your questions in, where they will do an amazing job, as they always do. So the chaps will be back Monday. Wednesdays will be when Ben airs his tipping show for the year, called Show Us Your Tips. I love it. Absolutely love it. Very inappropriate. Very childish. But it's great anyway. And as I said, there's those upcoming 2026 player previews from Tommy Atkins, Kyton Matafai-Forbes, Graham Myers, Shannon Neal, Oisin Mullen, Paddy Dangerfield, Ollie Henry. Plenty more to come. So keep checking out those videos. They've been going up daily for about the last, what are we up to? Tommy Atkins is coming up the last 28, 29 days. I haven't missed a beat so far. And I'm ready to keel over and die. No, we'll get there. We've got about 2 weeks worth of them still to go. Thank you, everyone, for having tuned in the chat. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to chat to all of you. Please stick around for The Last of Us Part 1 shortly. Foxy, I know you're not a zombie guy, but we'll carry you through this one. I'll be back next Thursday night, so make sure you are here again live with me. Turn on the channel notifications so you don't miss anything from us, including the live shows as well. Remain Geelong strong, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully the Vics smash WA on Saturday night, and I'll see you shortly. All right, we're back. I need to get rid of some layout things here and get the PlayStation on, and I need to actually display this on a separate thing, and it's something I should have prepared earlier because I can't show you some things that I've got that are embargoed, so bear with me for a second. That was my own stupid fault. But welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you are here and ready to enjoy. I'm going to full screen myself so that you can't see what I'm doing. Because I do value the NDAs that I sign and I don't want legal action. So let's bring up The Last of Us. It is safe now. It is safe for me to show The Last of Us. All right. I can see JL having popped into the chat so far, so looking forward to chatting to you and anyone else who's keen to pop in over the course of the night. I'm playing a very thorough game here. I'm not. I'm desperate to get myself the platinum for this one. I need to mute the actual feed because I can hear myself in my ear and it's quite distracting. I'm going to bring up The Last of Us Part 1 Platinum Guide so I don't miss anything as I go. JL asks, teams that get belted in the granny seem to drop off the year after. You don't think it will happen in Geelong? By the way, it's good to be back. Carn the Weagles. Look, hopefully your team can get off the canvas this year and start to trend upwards, up the ladder there. The list is starting to build. It's pretty impressive. Teams that get belted in the granny seem to drop off the year after. You don't think it'll happen in Geelong? I don't. I just think this team is a bit too mature for that. Some of those teams that have been belted in recent years have been younger, up-and-coming ones, and it's been a bit deflating for them, and you can see the impacts. Geelong, they've been and done this before. They know their way around. So, yeah, I think they'll be just fine. All right, let's get into it here. Let's go back to The Last of Us. Let's continue. We'll go downtown. JL says he experienced motion sickness playing this game. Do you mean The Last of Us full stop? Do you mean part 1? What was the experience? All right. Now, I do need to make sure I'm paying attention here. So we've just entered downtown and I am making sure that I don't miss any collectibles as we go. Climbing over the broken bridge. Alright. You stopped at a specific part in the game. Oh, I'd be curious to know what part that is. Maybe try and gently do it to avoid spoilers, because Foxy might be here already. And
buildings look like they're close. They're so damn tall. So what happened here?
They bombed the hell out of the surrounding areas to the quarantine zones, hoping to kill as much of the infected as possible. It worked.
Right, there we go. There's our first collectible for the night.
What the hell was that?
Yes, you hear that?
Yeah,
Infected, Ellie.
sounded pretty far away though.
You had most. Oh, the pussy. The bit with
Come on.
Abby and the heights. Abby's fear of heights is. I could relate. Down you go, Tess. You're not going to last much longer anyway.
Damn, that's quite a drop.
Now there's the Capitol building.
Yeah, we need to get around this mess.
This is the downtown area?
It was. Now it's a giant wasteland.
Ladies first. Come on, Ellie. Ellie.
Over here.
Just don't want to miss any collectibles of any sort. Like you. Yeah, there we go. Foxy says he's here, just needs to put his phone on charge, so he might switch devices. That's all right. Looking forward to having you on board. And of course, everyone, as you can see down the bottom there, actually, I didn't actually put the ending time. We started, we'll say at 10 past, so as things stand, we are due to finish at 10 past 10. I should also add what we've already earned in super chats into the pool, so that we're not being too unreasonable, like ridiculously unreasonable here. So Bussy contributed $3 earlier on, and I think there was $2 from Rob, so we're at $5 for the night. Well, not every $20 actually. I'll walk that back a little bit, but every $20 up to 40 will add 30 minutes to the stream, because I like playing games and I like chatting with the community, and that little bit of extra money keeps kind of fueling the Hoops crew. And if you don't want to, that's fine. Watch along, enjoy the ride, and we'll just see how far it takes us. All right, there we go. So, sorry, got a bit distracted updating the graphics and stuff there, but we're at $5 for the night. 15 more dollars gets us to 20, and that'll push us to 10:40 in terms of our playtime. The latest we'll go to is 10 past 11. All right. You find a bloody body after exploring the first area in the building after you climb to it. Where did everyone go? No. This is the way we came. There we go. I got so disoriented. Okay. The dogs are talking mad shit about me.
Hey, Tess.
Coming.
Listening out for these infected arseholes.
It's been ripped apart. Body's pretty fresh.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it might be. Let's not stick around.
Bussy says, every time I replay part 1, my heart breaks a bit that I can't do any of the combat additions in part 2. Yeah, look, it's one of those strange things about video games, right? That the technological leaps unlock more things. You don't get that in film, television, etc. Is one of those distinctly video game things that the technology improves, and so you can do more with it. Film and television, if you've got the stunts people, if you got all those resources, then you're good to go. Another artifact.
Another one. Shit.
Overrun, fell back to the building interior, awaiting evac.
Looks like these guys died waiting for backup. God damn it. Clicker.
Jeez. What's wrong with its face?
That's what years of infection will do to you.
So what, are they blind?
Sort of. They see using sound.
Like bats?
Like bats. If you hear one clicking, you gotta hide. That's how they spot you.
Remember, was there more scope to go upstairs? Or did it push me back down? Oh, some crafting materials will do. I'm keeping an eye on that chat, so please make sure if it's Last of Us conversation, other gaming conversation, AFL conversation, please fire away in the chat. I'm keen to talk while we play. I'm sure there'll be moments where I start shitting bricks and need to focus, but
Whole building feels like it's about to fall apart.
right now we're okay. Should find my first crafting table shortly. I got pills.
Watch your head.
See the water running down.
Everything is totally cool.
My favourite part, and we're not even that far away from him, or maybe it was closer to halfway through the game, is
Give me a hand with this.
is there's a building that you walk through that is literally the office, the Scranton office.
Thanks.
You alright?
It's nothing.
Let's search for supplies.
Shit. Oh, that was intense.
You said.
My favourite game in the series, and it's a close contest, but it is the original Last of Us.
Let's get the hell out of here.
Here, catch yourself up.
Appreciate it.
Oh, Ben has set a goal of some sort. What's the goal? Oh, he set the extra 20 minutes. Yes, he had. I'm so nostalgic for part 1, but I think part 2 had more of an impact on me since it was released during during COVID. I mean, I get it. That makes sense. Damn it! How do I use it again? Let's keep our shiv numbers up. I can't. Pussy! Remind me. What button do I press to use my... Switch to it. It's not that. It's not crouch. It's not triangle. Oh, there we go. Just hold shoot. Now.
Look,
Yeesh.
Yeah, but there's a shiv door around here somewhere. There it is. I think. Yeah.
There you go.
Where am I? Oh, there's my crafting materials. That was just a bottle. Where's my... Oh, hang on. There they are. Some supplements. There it all is.
get me up there. I'll check it out.
Just see if there's a way through.
Also, part 2 probably has the best storytelling in a game I've ever seen, so that helps. Never expected to get lesson in morality from a game. I mean, that's a good point.
It's clear.
I
Come on, Ellie.
All right, kid, you're up.
struggled
Come on.
with... I struggled with the way that they went through day 1 through to 3, and then they did it again for Abby. I'm trying to be
Come on,
vague
big guy.
here.
Give me your hand. Let's go.
The big moment from the beginning of the game, I don't hate Naughty Dog for doing it,
Go, go.
but it sucked. I hated it. And I could never forgive the perpetrator, despite how they tried to lean into that morality that you're talking about and kind of get you to sympathise. And I could sympathise with that person responsible, but I thought about it. Probably didn't need to do it. Someone be my conscience and say you didn't need to kill the clicker. But I kinda did. Oh. Oh, that's just a bottle. That's just a bottle. I'm wasting bullets. There's the guilty conscience.
I think that's it. Ellie, you okay?
Other than shitting my pants, I'm fine.
Let's go.
The stairwell's blocked. Should we go back up?
Oh boy. There you go, ladies.
All right. Come on.
This is crazy. Just don't look down. Are you serious? All platforms exposed.
Jesus.
Possibly go.
Come on, Ellie.
Yeah. Don't look down. Just don't look down.
You're okay. We got a way through.
From memory, there's more clickers around here. And they've very generously given me a bit of 2x4.
Runners.
I'll go check it out. Stay with the girl.
Got ourselves the revolver. Now these bricks can see us, so it's... There's a bit of care required now. So we've got a few... That one looks like it's kind of hunching and whatever on the spot, so that'll be a clicker. So sorry, Bussy says, so if part 1 is like 2007 to you, then what's part 2? Oh, part 2 is like... Oh, like 09. It's 100% like 09. Because it's a roller coaster. Damn it. I feel like I'm getting framey. I really butchered that. We got through it. Jeez.
Alright, come on down.
Yeah, 2009 was like the roller coaster. Like it was traumatic the whole way through. We got the right outcome in the end.
Impressed, Joel.
I feel like the game is chugging a bit tonight. I'll probably kill off the Discord. That'll stop using a bit of processing power. I can kill off the Google Doc from the Paul James show. That'll save a bit too. Funnily enough, I've got more ammo than I started with after all that. Oh, way more. Look at this. Did I still have a... Oh, I still got the brick. Okay. I just expected the 2x4 to knock that fucker out before it started screeching and squealing. But clearly I forgot how that worked. And my phone is going wild at the moment. Yeah, it looks like performance-wise I'm running a bit smoother now. Foxy, Pussy, have you been watching The Last of Us TV show?
Tess, go.
All right, hold on.
All right.
There we go. Yeah, we got more ammo than what we had before. We decided to rile up the infected. Can't be doing that too often, though.
Yeah, let's get to it. You get through here.
Down we go.
Watch your back.
I've played a few horror games over the years, and I don't consider The Last of Us a horror game. But no game has ever caused me to clench my asshole quite as tightly as The Last of Us.
Hey, you're the one always going on about laying low.
And you always brush me off.
Won't this time.
I only jumped back on not too long ago. I assume, Foxy, you're talking about the show. Bussy says, enjoyed the first season. They added some cool things. Season 2 was meh. I was still pretty fond of Season 2, but it's not... A bit like, I guess, my stance on the game itself. It's not as good as the original. We've got rags, we've got oil, like we can make some Molotovs when the opportunity is right. Which way was I going? I feel like I'm going the wrong way. I feel like I'm retracing my steps.
Through here.
Nope. Thanks, Joel. Oh, we're into the subway.
Tess, down here.
Molotovs are about my favorite thing in this franchise.
Look at his sleeve.
I feel like I used to use those quite well.
These guys aren't doing well in or out of the city. Let's hope there's someone alive to meet us at the drop-off.
It's gonna be fine.
from the quarantine zone.
See? They're not our guys.
Heard him then.
Over there, see him?
Shit. God, we're almost out. Okay, Joel, you take point. I'll watch the rear.
I'm gonna try and
Ellie,
strangle
no
out
matter
as
what,
many
you
as I
stay
can.
right on his heels. Sure. You stay sharp.
I got it.
I know they don't react to the flashlight, but it's actually hard, like in my setup with the lighting so that I'm projected, it's actually harder to see when the torch is on. In some instances. $343.78. Come on, surely that did the job. Is it still alive? For fuck's sake. God damn it. What was that code? 03. 03. 43. 78. Oh. Oh, and there's the safe. Ah. All right. Oh, too far. Se- 78, I think. Oh, hang on, I should check the guide. Yep, 034378. Sweet. Reminder for everyone, we're finishing in 20 minutes as things currently stand, but a further $15 worth of super chats from anyone watching, not anyone on their own, combined effort too, if need be, will push us to an extra half hour of The Last of Us. Oh, oh, oh. Up, 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 up.
Joel, over there, on your left.
Oh, Christ.
All right.
Do I prefer stealth kills or gun blazing? I'm more of a guns blazing person. But this game isn't really designed that way. Like, you know, from the level of sway that Joel has to the strength of the clickers, like if they get their hands on you, it's over. And so while I prefer guns blazing, you just can't play that way with The Last of Us. Obviously, if it devolves, then
We actually made it.
embrace
Everyone
the chaos
okay?
and try and survive.
Yes.
But
Let's move.
You guys are pretty good at this stuff.
It's called luck. And it is gonna run out.
hop in. This is not... That is not what I'd expect from Naughty Dog. What is going on
Where
there?
we going, Tess?
The light boxes.
Capitol building's in this direction.
What is going on? What is this? The night sky just hasn't rendered. What the? I looked away for a second. Did I? I didn't waste a shiv or something, did I?
Here we go. All right.
Those look more like the ones that bit me. They still have their faces.
They're recently infected. Those soldiers must have just turned.
Which means there's more in the area. We gotta go. Climb on up.
I am blown away. Absolutely blown away by the fact that still
Joel, over here.
It's still
Cut through this
the
building.
night sky
Yeah, that
hasn't
worked
rendered
out
in.
great last
This
time.
is not. I mean, look, they
Sorry,
didn't
I'm just
fully do the remaster, but or the remake, but wow.
What? I don't hear anything.
Okay, double time.
They're coming.
I know.
Okay, that's good, go.
You got something on your shoe. Gross.
Ah, Ellie.
Okay, how do we get out of this place?
Let's find out.
There's my workbench.
So Marlene thinks you're immune?
That's what she believes.
Well, how were you bitten? I mean, you must have been somewhere you shouldn't to find an infected in a zone.
Yeah, I'd sneak out. I was in this military boarding school.
You'd sneak out?
You know, explore the city. I was in the mall when I ran into infected.
That place is completely off limits.
Don't have tools.
How the hell did you get in there?
I had my ways. Anyways, one of those, what you guys call runners, bit me, and that was that.
I see. Were you with Marlene when you were bitten?
No. I went to her for help afterwards.
Knowing her, I'm surprised she didn't shoot you.
She almost did. Hope she's all right.
I told you. She's gonna be fine.
I like the detail they went to here. Obviously, it's kind of still partially done off screen so that you can't quite see what Joel's doing and how really the animation, like the graphic is just changing. The asset's just changing off camera, but it feels very genuine. That's all right, Bussy. Thank you for coming on board. The stream has only got 2.5 minutes left in it, so we're actually going to finish here as well before we progress beyond the workbench. And so, yeah, Bussy, thank you for tuning in. Foxy, thank you for joining in. To some of the others who are there lingering in the comment section but aren't necessarily chatting tonight. JL, if you're still there as well. Thank you all for having tuned in. It's been a great time over the course of the last 2 hours between the Paul James show and now game night. Oh, hang on. I said stream ends at 10:10. Sorry, we had a late start. That's right. We ran a little bit overtime. No, we've got 10 minutes to go. We've got 10 minutes to go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll improve that listen mode distance. Look, actually, we might use the opportunity with Bussy going and us having hit the 2 hour mark for the night. We might actually just pull the pin there because I won't lie, I've got to go to the toilet as well. So I've been here for a while, and that's straight after putting the kids to bed and then getting in some planning for the show tonight. So I might actually use the opportunity before I progress. We might actually just put a pin in at this particular point. We'll save the game. I do want to overwrite. That way we're not kind of getting stuck somewhere in between sequences. So I'll use the opportunity actually to say thank you for everyone for having tuned in tonight, both across the Paul James show and then game night. It's been awesome to get to chat, as always. Foxy, thank you. Bussy, thank you. JL, if you're still there, thank you to the others who've been tuning in and out. And of course, everyone who was there through the Paul James show as well. It's been a pleasure to chat. Looking forward to doing it all again next week. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you later.